Hey, folks. Welcome to episode 19 of Mike's Mission Podcast Show. My name's Mike Demaro, and hopefully you had a great weekend, the second Monday in October, no matter what you celebrated. So, today we have a lot of great things we're going to talk about on this episode of the podcast. We're going to talk about a few of the topics that's been going on, including my trip up to Atlanta, Georgia, to escape Ian. We're going to talk about the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta, which I didn't go this year, but I did go last year. But I was able to watch it on YouTube and Facebook Live. We're going to talk about that and a whole bunch more. So stay tuned because we're going to be talking about it here on the Mike's Mission Podcast Show. Hey, we're going to be talking about the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta 2022. So, as you guys know already, I could not make it to the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta this year. I did go last year and had a great time seeing all the balloons. We did the second half of the Balloon Fiesta last year. And it was pretty cool to see all the shaped balloons and everything else. And I want to say a huge thank you to the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta for having the thing on YouTube Live and Facebook Live. I was able to follow along with Glenn Moyer and Art Lloyd Jr. as they commentated on the Balloon Fiesta. And there was actually some pretty good mornings that the balloons did go up. And it was pretty cool to see those balloons. You know, I put the video, the YouTube one, on my television, and I was able to watch along. So I was like, so I could actually see it on TV, and that was pretty cool to see that. And I mean, I feel pretty bad for them too, because the nighttime activities had to be canceled and they were not able to do a full nighttime glow session or whatever because of the weather. I know that the last two nights, the Friday and Saturday nights, it was raining and thundering. It was like everyone had to go shelter in place. It was crazy. And then I think that's what happened the Thursday night too. And I was able to see it on the YouTube. And I know that I was doing Uber Eats work too, and I had it on the phone as I was driving. I know. Oh, I didn't pay attention to the video. I just listened to the sound, and it was pretty cool to, like I said, hear the commentary from Glenn Moyer and Art Lloyd Jr. And they've been doing it for the duo has been doing it for like 6 years, but they've been to Bloom Fiesta so many times before. So I think Glenn Moyer is either a current or a former editor for one of the Balloon magazines, and then Art is on the planning committee for the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. And I can tell you that their commentary and then our feedback in the chats was incredible too. Like I asked a few questions on there about what goes on and what's going on and answer the questions for them and everything else. You know what was also pretty cool was I heard that there was a couple that got married. They came from England and they're part of one of the balloons and they got married at Bloom Fiesta. They were going to get married on the field outside, but due to the weather, they were not able to, so they got married inside the museum. And that was pretty cool to see that, you know. And then their anniversary is going to be Bloom Fiesta. And I don't know if it was Glenn or Art or one of those two, was asking when the dates were for 2072, the 100th Balloon Fiesta. And I was trying to answer them, October 1st through the 9th, because I looked up the dates on the calendar and that's when it is, or that's when it's planned to be. Hopefully, I'll still be alive for then, you know? Well, I think everyone hopes to be alive for that, but I don't know if that's going to happen. You just never know about life. But, anyways, the balloons were fun. I loved seeing all the balloons on the TV and on the videos and everything else. And and if you're one of my friends on Facebook, I am so sorry for flooding your newsfeed with balloon posts and posts about the Bloom Fiesta and everything else, but it is kind of a big deal because it was their 50th, and I really enjoyed going to it last year, and I wanted to share the experience with all of you this year, you know? And I did start on the first day and continue it on to the final day. And I posted the Facebook Live videos on my Facebook page so that you could see it too. And try to tag everyone so you could see it and whatever, you know? Because it is so cool to see the balloons and everything else. And then, like Glenn and Art have been saying in their videos, that they do have an archive of the videos on Albuquerque Bloom Fiesta webpage, and you can look it up on there. Or you can go into the YouTube and see it there too. You know, going to Bloom Fiesta was one of those events that I really enjoyed going to, and one of the events that I was able to watch from home or on my phone, wherever I was. And you know, I had some of my friends from the camping club that went to it, and then there were some, and then you had Jason and Abby from RV Miles that went to it, and a few other full time RVers that I really know that went to it too. So that's pretty cool to see them or well, to meet them last year, and then this year reading along on their post too, seeing what they had to post about the Bloom Fiesta. You know, and like I have said before, and I'm going to say it now, the Balloon Fiesta is one of those events that you have to have on your bucket list, that you have to go to. You have to go to Albuquerque, New Mexico. It always starts on the first Saturday of October. It runs until it runs for 9 days until the Sunday of the second weekend. Next year's dates, the 2023 dates, are October 7th through the 15th. I know it's a little later than what it has been, but their their events always starts on the first Saturday of October and will end on the second Sunday after. So you have 9 days. And normally, what they do is on opening day, they do mass ascent where all the balloons go up. And then at night, they do glowing of the balloons. And then the second day is the same as the first. And then days 3 through 5, which is Monday through Wednesday, they only have the morning ascent, mass ascent. So, and then Thursday starts the special shapes of the balloons, and they have the mass ascent of those. And then at night they do glow too. And then Friday and Saturday is the same thing. And then that Sunday, is the last time that the balloons go up in mass ascension during that morning. And everything is when you see times on there and everything else, it's the time in New Mexico. So New Mexico is on Mountain Time, which would be Mountain Daylight Time, by the way. Just to let you guys know. I know I'm a pet peeve when it comes to stuff like that. So New Mexico is on Mountain Time, and at that time of year, it's Mountain Daylight Time. So when you see the times or hear the times, note that it's New Mexico time. You know, add 2 hours if you're on the East Coast, subtract an hour if you're on the Pacific, and whatever else for the time zones. And I can tell you that, like I keep saying, everyone needs to go to Bloom Fiesta. Everyone needs to have it on their bucket list. Whether you're a balloonist or not, whether you're a balloon pilot or not, a balloon fan or not, this is a remarkable event that brings everyone together, and you get to see all the balloons, and if the weather's right, you can even see them glow at night. I felt bad that they were not able to have any of the full glow of the balloons at all for the 50th, but I was glad I went last year and I was able to see them glow, you know, and I was able to go see them do their dawn patrol and mass ascent on one of the mornings that RV Life had a tent, a hospitality tent that where everyone could go and sit around and watch the balloons, in the VIP area. That was fun too, you know? And then, of course, during the week, you're going to have like Harvest Host and RV Life, and they're going to have speaking sessions too. So don't just rely on the activities day and night. They have other activities going on. Like they have a meetup at like a restaurant or something, and you can meet up with some of the full time RVers, and I know Adventure Caravans is there, and they have a group rally there. Fantasy RV Tours has a group rally there too, and there's a few others. So, it's pretty fun to do that. And going camping there was pretty cool. I would highly recommend it if you can go camping at the Bloom Fiesta. You can. And registration on that, I believe they said January was going to be when they start taking reservations for the 2023 Fiesta. So if you're interested in going, get your name in early, reserve your spot early so you can go. And then I also heard that the merchandise that they didn't sell is going to be back up online on their website on Wednesday, October 12th. So stay tuned for that. And so if you missed out on getting a t-shirt or pins or one of their souvenir programs, that is the place you need to go for to get some stuff for the Bloom Fiesta. I don't know if it'll be discounted since the Bloom Fiesta is over, but we'll see what they have online and we'll go from there. I bought myself a t-shirt back in August and then I bought a couple of pins too. And one speculation that I had was I was not going to open the box until the start of Bloom Fiesta, which was October 1st. And I did not open it until that day. And then when I opened it, I wore the t shirt for the first time and I saw the pins for the first time that I ordered. And they were pretty cool. So, you got to plan it out that way. I didn't want to wear my Bloom Fiesta t shirt early. You know, I just don't want that idea. Like the shirt I got last year, even. I brought it with me to New Mexico, and I waited until Bloom Fiesta days or whatever, until the event to wear it. That's what you're supposed to do. And then you can wear all you want afterwards. Yeah, I know, right? That's typical me. Don't know about you. But I mean, you know, for someone with autism, if you see colors, beautiful colors and balloons, it's something that you will cherish and they might be interested in it. So I highly recommend going to it, you know? And like I said before, it should be on everyone's bucket list, no matter what age you are, because it is one event that you should see each and every year if you can. Like I tried going this year, but unfortunately things didn't work out and the prices didn't work out for me. So maybe next year I'll go again. We'll have to wait and see. So hopefully you'll see me out there next year. And we'll be right back with our next segment. So stay tuned. And before I go, up, up, and away in my beautiful balloon. You know that song, Up, Up, and Away by The Fifth Dimension that came out in 1967. If you're on my podcast, you're going to hear a little bit of it. If you're on my YouTube video, see me. Unfortunately, that's the only singing you're going to hear from that. So we'll be back. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Um, I decided that I'm going to do another segment about Bloom Fiesta. However, I'm going to talk about one special balloon that they had and how this partnership was formed and how everything came to be to allow this to happen. So, you know the cartoons, the Looney Tunes, right? You have the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, and they have actually, if you go on chuckjones.com, they actually have the Bloom Fiesta posters on there that you can check out and see them and everything. And they had the cartoons from the balloons with the cartoons on it since 1972, when the first one is. And Chuck Jones's grandson actually paid a visit to the booth, the broadcasting booth where Art and Glenn were, and he talked about how the cartoons came to be on Bloom Fiesta. Craig Clausen was his name. And it was pretty cool to hear him talk about his grandfather and how it was involved and everything else. And I'm trying to find it online here. And so I can tell you guys how it was formed, the partnership between the Looney Tunes and Bloom Fiesta. So here we go. I can tell you guys right now. And they did create a few great posters on here. And okay, we're going to see this. This is a an article from Albuquerque Business First. So all credits to them. Left Turn in Albuquerque. Bloom Fiesta partners with Looney Tunes for 50th celebration. And there is a nice poster of all the Looney Tune characters on the balloons and watching the balloons and everything else. Now in its 50th year, the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta is partnering with the Looney Tunes to bring a special experience for all visitors. Okay, now I cannot read the rest of it because you have to pay for it, I think. And I'm not going to do that. So, we'll have to find something else to read about it. Here we go. From KRQE. the CBS and Fox station in Albuquerque. Looney Tunes and the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta have deep ties. This year, those cartoon characters will be featured even more prominently. Well, the connection with Warner Brothers probably started before any of us knew there was really a connection. Chuck Jones, the animator for Warner Brothers, used a lot of the backdrops and scenery from New Mexico in most of his animated cartoons, said Jim Garcia, who was a Bloom Fiesta board member. Chuck Jones, the animator for Warner Brothers, was known to have an affection for New Mexico and its landscapes. When it came to time to create posters for the Bloom Fiesta, incorporating the Looney Tunes characters was an easy choice. Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote were featured in the first posters. Pilots used the Roadrunner Coyote theme in their balloon chase at the first Bloom Fiesta in 1972. In recent years, Warner Brothers artist Dan Keelan has been has become the official poster designer. We are creating magic every day that we have a Bloom Fiesta, and we know that for us to be able to align ourselves with Chuck Jones, the characters of Warner Brothers, and to bring this all together in one spot, in one place, it's magical. But that's not all, folks. This year's the parking lots will incorporate the Looney Tune characters as well. The parking lots will be named after some of the famous characters. The goal is that people will have an easier time remembering their lots so they don't get lost, like most of the famous Looney Tune characters of all. Bugs Bunny, who always gets lost trying to find the left hand turn in Albuquerque. And oddly enough, that's where the Bloom Fiesta is, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The lots will be named after Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner, Elmer Fudd, Porky Pig, Taz, Buzz Bunny, Tweety Bird, and Daffy Duck. Looney Tunes are known internationally. This is an international Bloom Fiesta. So if we picked characters and these Looney Tune characters over things that are more specific to New Mexico, there's a better chance of our out of town guests and out of country guests being able to identify and recognize what we've had going on here at Bloom Fiesta, said Amanda Brady, transportation manager for Bloom Fiesta. There will also be t-shirts with the Looney Tunes theme for sale at Bloom Fiesta. And I'm going to try to find those when the thing opens back up after the Bloom Fiesta is over. And that's coming up on Wednesday, October 12th. So I cannot wait to see if there's any pins or any shirts that I could have that would fit me and everything else. And, you know, they had a poster that came out, and it was a 5-year poster series. And I saw the other posters, and it was pretty cool to see all 5 of the posters as pictures, though. You know, it's pretty cool that the connections that they had. Chuck Jones' connection was he was born in 1912. Guess what? New Mexico became the 47th state in the United States in 1912. And then I think if I can find any other facts on here, I do remember his grandson talking about. Let me see. And I'm sorry if I'm taking forever. But you know me. I like to talk about facts. I like to have fun. And I like to share things with you. So, okay. Let me see if I have it on here. Okay. I can find it. Chuck Jones said that part of his great pleasure in visiting the land of enchantment, which was New Mexico, was probably due to the fact that they both came to be the same year, 1912. New Mexico Magazine celebrates the state centennial in their latest collector's edition, which includes a great note about taking a left turn at Albuquerque. Yes. So, okay. And I'm trying to find any other information that his grandson spoke about. And trying to find it on here. Um, I hope I can find it. Um, I know you can visit the Chuck Jones Gallery in Santa Fe, and I wish I had the chance to go there. Unfortunately, I didn't know it was there. Otherwise, I would have gone there, you know? But, you know, Chuck Jones in New Mexico is like things that go together perfectly, you know? And let me see here if I can find any other facts about Chuck Jones, New Mexico, and Bloom Fiesta. So let's see here. Let's see. All right. Okay. Let me see. I'm sorry, guys. I wish I knew more what to say. I just don't know, but it's pretty cool to learn about him and to know about him and for me to share this with you. And then there's also a Chuck Jones Center in California. And that's in the Chuck Jones Center for Creativity is in. I'm trying to find this out for you guys. Is in. I you don't know because well, it's in Southern California. I just don't know where in California. And then there's also one I think in Chicagoland too. So you know, Chuck Jones. If it wasn't for him, I don't know if the Looney Tune characters would be highly involved with the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, and we have to thank him, and we have to thank his grandson too, and the rest of the Jones family for introducing us to this and for allowing the characters to be part of Bloom Fiesta year after year. Because it is a great thing. I know that people see the Looney Tune characters at Six Flags all over the country, but to see this and be at a place that a fiesta that more people can go to and see it, international balloon fiesta, by the way, is probably a great thing to do because because the people get to be recognized for all the characters. They're worldwide known. So all right, folks. I hope that you will have the chance to look up Chuck Jones online and learn about his connections with New Mexico and Bloom Fiesta. And we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. So, if you are listening to my podcast on Spotify, you just heard the theme song for the Looney Tunes. Yeah, I had to play it. It was appropriate because of we just talked about Chuck Jones and his association with the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. There is actually something else that I want to talk about that happened during that same time period. called Hurricane Ian. It made landfall first in Cuba and then up near Fort Myers on Wednesday, September 29th, I believe, or 28th, excuse me, 28th. Sorry. And as you may know, I spoke about it last week a bit in the last episode, and I don't do strong storms. I don't do strong hurricanes and all that. So I decided to leave Orlando and head up to higher ground in Atlanta, Georgia. And I know that it's not a typical vacation or visit or whatever. You know, this even though it was the evacuation, it was kind of a vacation away from my home for a week, but at the same time, it was also I had to get away because of my anxiety level and everything else. We were so this happened back on the 27th of September. I was like, might as well go, go, go. I was like, go, go, go. I was packing up the car like crazy, trying to grab everything that I could and that I wanted to bring with me so I didn't lose it or whatever, or get damaged during the storm or whatever else. And, you know, and then I had my class for the steno machine, and I wanted to make sure I attended that before I left. So I did that. And then, like, right afterwards, like within 15, 20 minutes, I was out of here. I left right after class and I went to get my prescripts and then I went up and then I was out of town, you know? Now, people were saying stay away from I 75 in Florida because it was stop and go, stop and go. And it was like, because of all the people along the Gulf Coast of Florida was evacuating at the time. So I was like, I might as well do it that way too. Well, I mean, I don't want to deal with the stop and go. So basically, what I did was went on 417 up to I 4 and took that to Daytona. Then I hop on I 95 and I drove all the way up and up to the border. And I stayed the night in Kingsland, Georgia, just north of Jacksonville, Florida, if you don't know where it was. So basically, I spent the night there. And then I woke up that morning and I got ready, and then the drive to Atlanta was on. I took 95 all the way up to Savannah, and then I took 16 across from Savannah to Macon. And that was pretty cool to do that. And then take 16 and then take it to 75 in Macon, and then I got up to Atlanta that way. And I can tell you right now, the traffic wasn't that bad. And I actually enjoyed the way I went too, you know. Going on 95 at night, especially through Jacksonville, was pretty quiet. There wasn't that many major events that was going on. So basically, the way that I went was pretty cool. And I got to see parts of Georgia I've never seen before by going on 16. So you know, going on that road was actually pretty cool to go on, and there was not a lot of traffic. So I mean, it's a good road to go on, and I highly recommend it. And I'm probably going to do it again in the future sometime. And then, when I got up to Atlanta, I was like, I have to go eat. And there's one place that I had to go, and unfortunately, I only made just one visit to this place. Normally, when I go to Atlanta, I make like 2 visits or 3 visits, but I only got to go to it once. And we're talking about the varsity and their famous slogan. what you'll have, what you have, so basically that's their theme. And they started back in 1928, and it's a nice restaurant, and they have it's like a school cafeteria feeling, well, a gymnasium and everything else. And Varsity is in Atlanta tradition since 1928. The Varsity has always been committed to serving quality food fast with a side of good times, where the staff is as memorable as their famous chili dogs and yelling, "What you'll have?" is their way of saying hello. This family owned establishment is everything you expect and more out of a classic drive-in in the heart of a big city. You know, and here's some interesting facts you gotta know. 2 miles of hot dogs, a ton of onions, 2,500 pounds of potatoes, 5,000 fried pies, 300 gallons of chili, made fresh daily, guys. So, and they are located at 61 North Avenue in Atlanta, and they've been at that same place since 1928. So, and where I first heard about the Varsity was on one of those Travel Channel specials about great food, and I think they were doing a hot dog special, and they were talking about the Varsity, so that's where I heard of it. And now it seems like every time I go to Atlanta, one of my places to go to stop is the Varsity, and I'm glad I did because it's a great place to have great food and just have a fun time. And it's a historical place too, so, you know. So I recommend everyone to go to the Varsity and have their food. And then on Thursday I had some other business to care of. Then I went to CNN, and then Friday I went over to Coca-Cola, the world of Coca-Cola, and I got to see where the Coke is made and everything else. And oh yeah, they have a secret recipe, and it's safely in their vault. So, and they have protection all around the vault. So no one's gonna ever get that secret recipe. And if you step beyond that red line, alarms go off like crazy. So I didn't do that. So, and there were some great exhibits, and then I got to see the polar bear, and got to taste some of the drinks and all that too. You can actually do that at Epcot as well, at the Club Cool, which is over near Connections, the gift shop at Epcot. And it's pretty cool. And then I got a few souvenirs. I got a T-shirt and all that. It was pretty cool to see Coca-Cola, though. I've been there before, yes, but I wanted to go again because you never know what has changed, or some of the stuff that I didn't get to see the last time was there this time, and so forth. So, and they even have a room where you can sniff the different ingredients of the sodas and all that, and you try to guess of what they are. Some of those are like, oh boy, you get a sniff of that. It's like, oh my goodness. So doing Coca-Cola was fun. And I highly recommend going to the world of Coca-Cola. And I was also able to see Centennial Olympic Park, and that's pretty cool. And then, of course, when I was in the area, of course, you had me doing Uber Eats. So I did a couple of deliveries on Wednesday, and then Thursday I had my final class, so I did that, and then I did deliveries, and then Friday I did Coca-Cola, and then I had pizza, and then I did the deliveries, and then Saturday I did more, and then Sunday I did more. So, you know, it's pretty cool that you can make money anywhere you can go for Uber Eats, and I love it. Now, Monday was the time that I decided it was time for me to go home. So I left Monday afternoon and I stopped by the original Chick-fil-A in Hafeville, Georgia, and had a classic diner breakfast slash dinner because it was a breakfast meal at dinner time. So it was pretty cool. And it's normally not served at the other Chick-fil-A's, you know. And it was recently renovated. So that was pretty cool to see the original Chick-fil-A. And then from there, I went down on 85. This time around, I decided I'm going to go on the western end of Georgia and check that out. So I took 85 down to 185. That took me down to Columbus, Georgia. And then here's the interesting thing. I went over across the river into Phoenix City, Alabama. Here's the thing about Phoenix City, Alabama. It is the only place where in Alabama that they use Eastern Time. The rest of the state of Alabama uses Central Time. This little town, city, or whatever, uses Eastern Time because they are a suburb of Columbus, Georgia. And Columbus, Georgia follows Eastern Time. So that's why Phoenix City, Alabama does as well. And it was pretty cool. I did a few deliveries in Phoenix City. You know, it's pretty cool to see that little piece of city and a little piece of geography there. So if anyone asks you on Jeopardy, what is the only city that is not in the central time zone, you can say, what is Phoenix City, Alabama? Yes. So I got to see that little city. And it was pretty cool. You know what was interesting though is my GPS changed time zone. My phone did not. It was pretty silly to see that happen because they thought that Phoenix City was part of the central time zone because Alabama is central time zone. But it was pretty cool to see that part of the state of Alabama that's not on the central time zone. So, and then from there, I took um, State Route 520, which is US 280, I think, to US 82 to Albany, and I spent the night there. And then Tuesday from there, I went over to Tifton, did a lunchtime delivery over there, and then hopped on the highway 75 down into Florida, make sure I had my free glass of orange juice, and say, hey, welcome back to Florida. You know, and then I went home from there. And luckily, guys, the only thing that I lost was the fridge and freezer full of food. It's the only thing I lost during that whole storm and during that whole time because the power went out. So, you know, but other than that, there was no other damage. You know, that was pretty cool to hear about that. And I can tell you that it was an unexpected vacation or unexpected trip, but I mean, I had a great time, you know, and I was able to work. I was able to do the final class in my steno machine class. So it was like, you know, you gotta enjoy it while you can and be safe. And, you know, Ian didn't make it all the way up to Atlanta, so we didn't really get any of the rain. I think we only got a little bit and a little bit of wind, but other than that, guess what? We didn't get anything. So, whereas down here in Orlando, you lost power, and you know my congressman or my state, not my state representative Carlos Guillermo Smith sent an email with all the photos of the roads being flooded and everything else. I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So I had to let my family and friends know that I was okay and everything was okay. And then Shotgun Tom Kelly read my email on the air on that Friday because he was talking about Hurricane Ian back on Thursday on his Thursday show. So I was like, I might as well let everyone know that I'm doing safe and I'm doing okay, and I wanted to share with him some of the photos, and he couldn't believe it either with the roads being flooded and everything else. But the baddest hit area was Fort Myers. And like I've said in my last episode of the podcast, I storms like that really cause huge anxiety and whatever. So whether it's packing a car or getting away from the storm or whatever. So I was like, I better ride it out of here, you know, because I know 5 years ago, and I've said this before, 5 years ago, I evacuated to Atlanta as well. September 10th, 2017 was my parents' 39th anniversary, wedding anniversary. On that day, Hurricane Irma made landfall on Cudjoe Key, Florida. Cudjoe Key is where Venture Out is. And that is also where my parents have their vacation home. So I was more concerned about that than I was about my own place. And and I'm like, when I heard about that, I'm like, oh boy. So I was like, but I'm praying for the people in Fort Myers and Cape Coral and surrounding areas, Naples, Estero, Port Charlotte, Northport, Sanibel Island. I'm praying for all of the people in Southwest Florida, and hopefully that you guys are able to rebuild and get your life back together and live your life the way you need to be. So, thank you for hearing about my trip to Atlanta, and I am praying for everyone who had to suffer through Ian, whether it was in Florida or in Georgia or South Carolina or even North Carolina, Virginia, or wherever else the rain had occurred. I think it went all the way up to the Northeast, if I'm not mistaken, up to New England. So, but anyways, we'll be back with our next segment, so stay tuned. Hey, unfortunately, we have to say goodbye for this episode. But I hope you guys enjoyed learning about the balloons and the Bloom Fiesta and a little bit about the Looney Tunes and their connection with the Bloom Fiesta and then my trip up to Atlanta. And I can tell you that, you know, I wish that, the when I evacuated for the hurricane, I wish that I went out to Albuquerque instead of Atlanta. But we gotta do what you gotta do. And on a closing remark, they said that the flag, the 50th anniversary Bloom Fiesta flag, didn't make it to Albuquerque until like the second weekend of the fiesta. So, and I, and because of the hurricane, but I was saying on the live feed that, or I commented that if they needed someone to take the balloon from, or not the balloon, the banner, the flag from Florida to Albuquerque in the future, let me know because I'm willing to do that. So, you know, I hope it comes real that I could do that, so, but maybe I'll have that chance. And now, in the words of Porky Pig, since we talked about Looney Tunes here, I have to play this. So, enjoy it.